All right, welcome to my review of Gozyuger episode 14. So episode 14 is continuing on with that Ryuki focused episode, where last week's episode had ended with Shoko, the Red Racer maid, letting her anxiety and fears get a hold of her, and she would turn into this berserker mode in the Red Racer form, where she would take on this more delinquent form and causing a muck amongst the city as she didn't agree with Ryuki's choices. Now, these past two episodes we've had focusing on Ryuki, I feel like this is like the character development or the character backstory we needed for Ryuki to sort of win him over. Now, we still don't know a lot about his family, we just know that he comes from a rich background, but we learn about why he's devoted to the TegaSword. So one of the things we find out is that he read the TegaSword Bible, if you want to call it that, and apparently like the world was wrapped in lies and deception and stuff like that, according to him. And when he found the TegaSword Bible, and the TegaSword Bible said that TegaSword will come down and fix the world and stuff like that. So your typical, religious Bible that you have, but except it's a giant mecha that's going to fix the world and redeem mankind. So that's why he believes in TegaSword and has devotion to TegaSword. So it kind of makes sense by learning about how he learned about TegaSword, and he found his whole sort of purpose and dedication to the TegaSword when he was a child. So that totally makes sense. But not only that, his relationship with the maid as well gets a little bit explained in this episode as well. So we kind of learn a little bit more about their backstory as well. But having Shoko as the Red Racer maid in a delinquent form is really freaking cool, because just the suit actor's posture and sort of how they acted in the suit, even though it was mostly voiced over with Shoko or the actress sort of doing that punk voice going on, just their slouching and their posture in that suit was like really freaking amazing. Because there's this one scene where at the quarry and she's holding the bat in one hand, she's got her hand in one pocket, and her posture is all slouched over and she's leaning forward and stuff like that. It's giving that punk Yusuke Urameshi and Kurobara vibes going on with it, but I was digging a lot with it. Now, we do get some fun moments when we sort of get explained why Shoko went berserk in her Red Racer form due to her anxiety and stuff like that. And what we get is we get TegaSword possessing the cafe owner, who we haven't seen in a really long time. She just suddenly shows up in this one episode. But the joke was worth it, because she gets taken over by TegaSword and she starts talking in that deep Yuji Kaji voice, that Eren Yeager voice, and the kid's there, and the kid's like, "Mom, do it again, do it again." And when she comes back to her senses, she's like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "The voice, do the voice again." And I got a kick out of that joke. That joke was a lot of fun. Now, also, we have Miss Sweet Cake and Shining Knife. I get their names wrong. I know people say you should get their names right, but look, they've only showed up like so many times in Gozyuger, and when they show up, they'll either do something really cool or they get jobbed right away. So they pick up where the last episode left off on, where they got handled by Sumino, and she was able to steal the ring, so they're sort of having this relationship issue. And you've got Miss Sweetcake who's swooning over Kyun, and there's this really funny scene where Kyun is just flirting in front of Miss Sweetcake right in front of Shining Knife, because, they're stuck together, so that was a fun gag. But they do sort of fix up their relationship in the end of the episode, and that makes them the big threat in the end. But they go to confront Shoko, who chases down our heroes, which is a really fun gag. And I do wonder if they sort of ad-lib this out on the streets with everything happening with everything happening, because you have this scene where they decide to run to the quarry because they decide to sort of move her away from the city so a lot of civilians don't get hurt. So you have this one scene where they're running through the park. You have a scene where someone's on a bicycle and she literally kicks the person off the bicycle, but then you see all the sort of bystanders in the background and they start taking out their phone and filming. And I do wonder if these were extras just walking by, sort of just filming what was going on, or was this part of the script? Because of course, like, random civilians would probably film a bunch of people getting chased by someone in spandex with a giant bat who gets on a bicycle to chase them. I mind you not, she gets on that bicycle that she kicked off the person and starts chasing after the rangers on it to the quarry, which is a lot of fun. But they get confronted at the quarry, and she uses her stopping powers to stop the other Gozyugers because she says friends who insult others are bad for their mental health or something like that, so I'm stopping you. And then we have the fight scene between Ryuki and Shoko, and it's a really good fight scene, and then they have their resolution in the end, and he's able to break her out of her senses. I mean, you have this one scene where she makes the bat go really giant, but through sheer willpower and determination, he's able to break it and bring her back to her senses, which was really cool. I really like the character moment that both of them have, and she sort of comes to a resolution that, yeah, she's going to let Ryuki worship TegaSword and do his own thing and not bring him back to his parents because, you know, the guy's very dependent now with everything going on. But you have the bad guys show up, you have Kyun, Fire Candle, and Shining Cake in that show up, and all the Rangers in that get into a fight with them. We see some brand new Rangers showing up, which is Alive Man and Hurricanejah Red. So they get summoned and turned into weapons by Kyun, but we actually get to see Sumino use the Lost Galaxy ring, or the Gingaman ring, which is really cool. I like Gingaman. Gingaman is another one of those Sentais I watched during lockdown from start to finish, and I enjoyed it. I might prefer Lost Galaxy over it, but the differences I do enjoy between Lost Galaxy and Gingaman are definitely worth noting, even though some plot points and episodes are directly lifted from the two series. But they get into a fight. Then Shining Cake and Shining Cake and Sweet Teeth go giant, and then you have Ryuki getting into his TegaSword with the maid in there, and they get into a fight with it. And you have this scene where they get really, really giant, but due to Ryugi's worshipness and faithfulness to TegaSword, he's able to sort of power through and sort of destroy the Monster of the Week. Not the Monster of the Week, defeat Shining Cake and Smiling Knife, whatever the fuck they're called. But he's able to defeat them in the end, and he sort of comes to a resolve with the maid, and she's not going to bring him back to his parents. So I do wonder if we will see her again, because she does end up giving Ryuki the Red Racer ring. So we'll see what happens. I feel like we'll see her again. I know she's like a Ultraman actor. I don't know if she's like an A-list actor that's going to be hard to get in Japan, but I do wonder if we'll see her again, because if we've met the maid, then when will we see Ryuki and his parents? Because Ryuki did mention that his father is a doctor, and seeing how that we saw that he looks like that he lived in a very wealthy place, it looked like a giant mansion, then this guy's loaded, as Suino mentioned, so we have to meet his parents eventually, because if Shoko wasn't able to bring him back home, then I'm sure the parents will intervene like within the next 20 or so episodes, and we'll see them show up in the end. Maybe they'll be Universal Warriors, I have no idea, that'd be cool to see. But the episode ends with Ryuki making a dedicated shrine to TegaSword, and TegaSword comes to life briefly in the little toy form, and he's ecstatic, absolutely ecstatic of the shrine that Ryuki made for him, and that's where the episode ends. But overall, this was a really fun episode. I really did enjoy it, because like I said, Ryuki has not had any focus episodes at all up to this point. Like, we've just had small bits and pieces about his character. I mean, his debut episode was a lot of fun, and he's had moments here and there within the past couple of episodes, but now we finally had a good character moment for him, and I feel like that's all the Rangers having their character moment. I'm sure there's other plot points here and there that they've sort of teased at the start of the episode, like with Byakuyo and his grey eyes and Sumino's sister going missing. We have to address that eventually, but yeah, we finally got all our Rangers having their backstories and stuff we know about them, so we'll see what happens moving forward. But overall, Gozyuger continues to be a really good series, really great series, and I can't wait to see where it's going to go next. So with that said, I will catch you guys later. Peace out, take care, and bye.